And a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes. My name is Jeff Owens, Interim General Manager at WEIU TV and Radio. My co-host is Dan Jones.
Happy Monday.
DJ the DJ.
It's a rainy one.
There you go. My guest there from the Mattoon YMCA, our guest, I should say, Sarah Dowell.
Good morning, or I guess afternoon.
Yeah, afternoon, just a turn. And Angela Hampton.
Good afternoon, guys. Thanks for having us.
Well, I appreciate you coming in on this beautiful Monday in Coles County. It's obviously not. I guess we'll start off with a little bit about, kind of what's new at the Y. Then we'll get into some of your programs and events and how COVID is changing things and hopefully getting better. So just in general, what's happened at the Mattoon Y?
Sure. I'll let Sarah kind of talk about spring sports because we have some programs coming up, one at the Neal Center and one at Mattoon that I think are exciting.
So this is a result, yes, of COVID. This spring we'll be offering the first time in, I think, the Y's history, a spring soccer season. So we'll have soccer programs for pre-K through adults. We have a World Cup soccer program as well. And so new spin on those two programs this spring is outdoors. So as we are still navigating with COVID restrictions and guidelines, they're a little more lenient, all sports guidelines on the outside. And we're hopeful, unlike a day like today, the weather does cooperate. But spring soccer, it's been very popular. There is still time to get children and adults registered. We'll kick off beginning of April. So a couple more weeks there, but seems to be the program registration numbers for spring soccer might surpass our fall soccer, which historically has been the largest program. So we don't know for sure, but we're thinking families, children are ready to move, get outside. They've been inside without normal activity, getting some exercise, and hopefully for spring that's a great thing. So
where do you play now for Mattoon Soccer?
Those games will all be held at Mattoon Middle School.
Okay.
And then for families in or around Toledo, we're having Dodgeball, which is something we've offered in Mattoon for a few years. Of course, last year we weren't able to have that. So they're welcome, of course, to participate in soccer at Mattoon. You don't have to live in Mattoon to participate in that program, but Dodgeball is fun. Of course, soft foam balls. I think that's ages 6 to 14 for that one. So sorry, Jeff, I know you were wanting to get in on that, but
it just reminds me of growing up. I mean, we call it bombardment, and they had to pin down or pinball slaughter. They call it for a while. They always try to change the name of
this
dodgeball.
Is less painful than the dodgeball of our youth.
Yeah,
yes, that is true. They really are.
The red balls, I remember those.
Yes.
Oh man, they would come so hard. So, other things that are happening this spring, as we hopefully, I said, knock on wood, that getting a little bit better out there.
Rocking chair softball will be coming up. So Alex Carey, our sports director, just sent us an internal announcement about that, and that's just been a popular league for years and years. Age 40 and up, and I think, what is the rule, Sarah? 2 people under age 40 per team max.
35. There's something about 35 too. Age discrimination is not, and they have a lot of fun. I know that's kind of, it gets a little bit wild, rowdy bunch, but they play in the evenings, weeknights, once we get to the summer months.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now, it was funny. You must either I was reading your mind or you reading my mind today, Angela. I was thinking about how, I know Justin Grady was concerned at Lytle that there's going to be a shortage of lifeguards. And I wrote out my cheat sheet here that, hey, let's ask about lifeguards to see if there's any way the YMCA could maybe assist Lytle Park and other area people that need lifeguards. And about a minute later, you sent out a press release that you guys are going to take some advantage of that.
Yeah, we are. And we're, it's not just Lytle Park, although that's one that's going to have a massive impact on our community if we can't help make that happen. But the Ys need lifeguards, lots of local community pools, even places like Camp New Hope that has a pool. So if there are, we say young people, but anyone can be a lifeguard. Maybe teachers who are off for the summer, college students who are around for the summer. In order to open these pools, we need lifeguards. So we have, we offer those courses. I think one's going on now or within the next week or so. And then we'll offer one on Mattoon's spring break, so the first week in April. We'll also have one in May and potentially one in June if we need to, but that's getting kind of late in the season. Okay. And all those requirements, of course, are on our website if they want to go to mattoonymca.org.
Okay. Daniel?
When the pandemic hit, I know it stopped a lot of things. Is there anything that you guys had planned since then that you wanted to do that you didn't get a chance to, that you guys are kind of talking about maybe still doing?
That's a good question, Daniel. First thing I would say, so something that's been brought up or new to our services since the pandemic, late fall, we launched our virtual Y platform. So any current YMCA member can take their same scan barcode and they log in through our website onto our platform. It does look very similar to a streaming platform. You'll see different categories and different live and different pre-recorded fitness classes. They have added some other services. We host a Bible study, some kid activities, and things of that nature. So this was something that we had it in the works, and thanks to COVID, just kind of fast forward it, probably a little too fast forward for some, but its launch has been very successful, and it's actually really, really cool. So we are still offering live classes in person now that we're able to do that, but they are still doing those live stream if folks are still not comfortable or schedules. We've had different folks say you got small kids running around, it's hard to get to the Y or whatever. So it's still gonna stay, even if COVID just poof be gone and it's out of here. We will still keep our virtual platform. So that's what I would answer that, Daniel.
On day-to-day stuff right now, are still changes in effect at the Y, so people know what to expect? I mean,
Sure.
can you talk about those?
Yeah, we instituted obviously some really stringent cleaning procedures at the beginning of COVID, and that was really an all hands on deck thing. Our full-time staff was able to stay employed full-time. But like a lot of people, we had to furlough our part-time staff, which included some of the folks who were on our facilities and janitorial staff. So right now we're kind of rebuilding that, but you will see our staff members throughout the building at all times. Bathrooms are cleaned hourly. Every piece of equipment is cleaned, not only hourly, but also before and after each use. Our members have really chipped in and done a fabulous job of being accountable with that. Masks are required as you move throughout the facility. People do not have to wear them while they exercise, although some folks do choose to do that. And then for our pool, you make a lane reservation, and 2 folks from the same household can share a lane. Otherwise, you have your own lane, so you can be socially distanced there.
Okay.
How does the membership process work? Are there different levels?
Yeah,
How do you obtain those levels?
sure. Go ahead, Sarah.
So, Daniel, that's a great question. We offer a wide variety of different membership types. Like I said, we have a virtual only. That is something that's been new since a year ago. Actually, I think it's a year ago tomorrow is when
So
they
you guys
announced.
were really on it then.
Literally almost
Yeah.
a year ago. It was March 16th
Yeah.
was when Blake made the announcement. We were just going to take a precautionary 2-week closure. You know how that all turned out. It was 2 weeks, 2 months. So we are very happy to be back. So Daniel, we do have a virtual only membership if someone is only interested in that. We have memberships for teens and for youth. We have single parent. We have family memberships, adult, and we have a senior. We have senior family. We have a great partnership with Sarah Bush. Folks can add a service if they want to be a dual member, have access to 3 facilities. A Mattoon Y member has access to Toledo, vice versa for Toledo. They can upgrade to a Center for Healthy Living, or if they would like to be just a Center for Healthy Living member through that partnership, they join the Y for that as well. So all different levels of membership, different types, and with all those memberships, we offer our Membership for All program.
The other big fundraiser you guys always do in the spring, Merriman, is it going to be virtual this year, or what's the game plan right now?
Yeah, it was a difficult decision. Last year, we ended up postponing it until August and kind of trying to figure out how to get people engaged during a very difficult time. So because of the way things are still throughout Coles County and the restrictions on gatherings, we've decided to make it virtual. May 1st will be the date of the event. The neat thing is, though, we have, I would say, I'm a little biased, but I think the best packages we've had in my time as Merriman director. We're going to have about 20 premier items, and I guess kind of sneak peek because we haven't announced it yet, but including a trip to Disney World and just some really neat items from our donors. And then we'll have over 100 silent auction items as well. But we're going to offer at-home party packs this year. So there's a free registration where people can choose to get a party pack and celebrate at home with us. And we'll also have family fiestas from Don Sol. So if people want to have dinner prepared for them that night, we'll have a limited number of family fiestas that we will deliver to them so they can celebrate with us virtually.
That's cool. I got to ask this question. It might be a dumb question, but when you're doing all for the COVID and pandemic, I mean, how much increase did you see in cleaning supplies and the effort? I mean, was that just gigantic? Because that's one of the things that people have forgot about, that it really does take on another added expense to all businesses.
Yeah.
I don't know exact numbers, but as Angela mentioned, so all of our staff, yes, including our senior staff and our CEO, we are all cleaning. We have had assigned shifts since the late June. And our members, not only do they really appreciate it because we can be open and our extra hard work is noticed, but they also just like to see us out of our element and engaging with members in that different way. So Angela was there taking pictures and documenting all of those, which will be around probably for a long time. Hopefully years from now we can laugh about it, but we are still doing the same thing, so it has definitely been an all hands on deck, taking our turn, doing things outside of your normal duties, but the expenses and things that we've had to purchase and just
even
new
things like
procedures.
rubber gloves and this, the sprayers and the cleaners obviously are not cheap. So that's been something that I know our CEO and our board has been diligently tracking and trying to stay on top of, because some of those things aren't going to go away anytime soon.
When you I know one of the things you have to do with the Y is you plan ahead for all the activities. So how tough is it now? Is it's starting to get better, but where there's still restrictions and there's still COVID out there. So when you start thinking about summer, fall, winter activities, do you plan like for both COVID and non-COVID, and talk about how that really, I got a good laugh there, but I mean, how does that work?
As a marketing director, it's a little bit of a nightmare, but it's we're cautiously optimistic now. I have a giant calendar that takes up a whole wall in my office, and somebody just asked me Friday why it was still blank, and I said I'm too scared to fill it out because last year I had to erase most of it. But we are planning for future seasons with the mitigations as they are right now, and that way we know we're in a safe zone, and if those things loosen up, then we'll loosen up with them. But we feel pretty comfortable right now moving forward with those normal seasons.
Okay, cool.
Like right around the corner is our summer camp, so I think April 1st is when that registration opens.
Yeah.
Forever, children will need childcare. School's out for the summer. We are lucky to still be able to have that, and that is being planned. Of course, they're, like Angela said, working around those mitigations, but they have the YUSA and folks have been saying just to plan as normal, and that's a great question. What's normal look like? But of course there'll be restrictions and probably reduced numbers and things like that. But I overheard Kayla and her staff, like Schoolville Zoo, they normally take a field trip. Little did we know, Schoolville Zoo can come to you. So that's just an example of things. So we're learning just as everyone else.
So they bring wolves and stuff to the Y?
Well, I'm not really sure what they're going to bring from the zoo. I doubt a wolf, but
Remind
we'll
me
see.
to tell you my Scoville Zoo wolf story after the show.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah,
So
it's funny.
yeah.
Daniel.
Any COVID-based programs that you may be thinking of keeping post-COVID? So anything that you guys did that was because of COVID that you were like, hey, it worked, we should maybe keep it?
I think aside from the virtual Y, which we mentioned, because that's definitely something that we'll leave on and continue adding to. I think one of the things we'll be leaving on is really the role of our senior staff being kind of front line a little bit more. We've discovered that we like being having an opportunity to interact more with our members and staying in touch with our front desk staff and being in the wellness center and connecting with those members. And I think that that's something that has been sort of a shift in thought for us, that rather than our I don't want to say top, but our most active, our most present senior staff members being in their office all day, we want to be up front where things are happening so we can connect with our members. So I'd say that would be a shift. And we did implement some COVID-19 emergency membership assistance in addition to our Membership for All program. So Membership for All can be used to pay for programs and membership levels. And the emergency COVID-19 assistance was for anyone who had suffered an income loss due to the pandemic. And it was sort of an expedited assistance process because we feel like people need the Y now more than ever, and we didn't want a loss in income to prohibit them from doing that. So I would say that will probably, some version of that will stick around until life returns to what we might call normal.
There you go.
Daniel, I would just add on that two things that I've noticed. So one, we did implement, before you used to not be able to join as a Y member online, and now that is something that you can do. You can start the process at home. The only things, really, there's two final pieces when you come in to get the membership started. So entering all your data and information, so there's no reason for that to go away. Makes it a lot faster. You can start it. Like you said, you're ready to join the Y. You're probably ready to join right now. So you can take advantage of that. just simple things, moving from everything on pen and paper. So we like things to be electronic, and believe it or not, some of these processes, like a paper membership form, didn't exist pre-COVID. So saving dollars and cents on a lot of those things will help to offset, like you said, the cleaning and different pieces that we're dealing with now.
And we tie this all in with Toledo really opened a little bit before COVID. So then, how has that transpired? I mean, is there a lot of back and forth between management, or is there just more conversation, or because you got to throw in that office plus the Center for Healthy Living? So how has that kind of made your lives different in terms of working at the Y?
Our senior staff has always pulled double duty. Toledo opened. We just had their 2-year anniversary in January, so about 50% of the time they've been open, we've been dealing with this, of course. So we do have a staff member who's been full-time down in Toledo, and her role is sort of expanding so that they always have a face that they know down there. And then the rest of us will rotate down 1 or 2 days a week so that we can stay in touch with the members and make sure that they have everything they need. And of course, it's been a challenge. We were just kind of getting our sea legs when this hit, but the members in that community have just been very, very supportive. And we are seeing our attendance finally start to creep back up to more normal levels. We did lose about 25% of our membership over the course of the pandemic. So
between both?
Yes,
okay.
yeah. So we're working on, of course, building that back up, but we're happy to see people coming back in. We want that usage to be back where it is, and people tell us they feel safe. We've had a couple of our members say they feel safer coming to the Y than going out to eat because they see us being vigilant about the precautions.
Good.
Yeah.
The Y also offers childcare services. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how it's changed since the pandemic has started?
Yeah, we stepped in with the Y Academy when Mattoon School District and Cumberland School District were not in school. And really, a lot of credit goes to Kayla, who's our youth director. She had to pivot until her head was spinning, I'm sure, to keep up with everything going on in both districts. So we made the space for those students, and then in Mattoon that became needed only on Wednesdays. Sometimes we had students being bussed in half the day, and it really was a unique experience. So we did have to close our child watch temporarily, and a lot of that was because of staff. A lot of that was because the precautions are the mitigations that we would need to do would be very, very time consuming and would make drop-in child care virtually impossible for right now. We're working and hoping to bring that back over the summer. So that way when, maybe you have some parents who are teachers, they're off for the summer, we're hoping that will be back at that time. And of course we had to cancel a lot of field trips for our summer camp last year, but this year we do have some field trips planned, like Sarah mentioned, and our students will have more personal space. Our students do wear masks. Whatever the schools require, essentially, are what we will be requiring. Yeah.
You said to a 25% membership loss. I mean, that's a hit.
Yeah, sure.
But how do you get that back? Do you start contacting those 25%, or do you just let them filter in on their own? What do you?
A little bit of both. We've tried to stay in contact with members by phone. We try, of course, to keep people updated on our social media and our website as far as what mitigations are required. Some of that, we did a large survey several months ago and just polled all of our members and asked them, if they left, why did they leave? Why would they want to come back? When can we expect them back? And most of them that we lost, obviously, were people who were just concerned about the health risks. So as those risks decline and the number of vaccinated folks in our community increases, I think a lot of that has become automatic. And with youth sports coming back, that's going to help pull people back in too. But yeah.
Another thing with our members, the 25% loss, we are seeing members return. We had a lot of people who stayed with us, just maybe on hold, and so they're keeping their membership active with us has been a huge help. One thing, like Angela mentioned, is as these programs come back, a lot of our members, if they have children in programs or take advantage of that discounted rate for those programs, you do need to be an active member. To be a member to use the virtual Y does need to be an active membership. So maybe they've just been on hold, and we do in our area see some snowbirds, so we know some of those folks will be coming back with us as well. So it is nice. We are seeing more traffic through the facility, and what we deem now as busy as Still Funny as a year plus ago, are much different. But it is nice to have those folks back in our facility. We still occupy the occupancy limits, and we've not ever got to a point where we've reached those.
Okay, I was going to wonder, like, how many people are allowed in the Mattoon or Toledo Y at one time, and how did you have to keep constant count, or does the computer do that? Or
we're at a 50% capacity, and so luckily we have pretty decent square footage, especially at Mattoon, and so we have Of course, we can check that with our scans. People scan it with their cars, but we also keep a manual, or we're keeping a manual list. So whoever's monitoring the wellness center every 30 minutes would do a double check, and we've not come close to reaching that capacity. So lucky for us, because some Ys have had an issue with that. You'll notice, on some websites there'll be a capacity meter so people can see, but we're just really lucky to have nice, large facilities, and the times are staggered enough that, we've been able to spread out. We moved cycling classes from a small cycling studio into our gym and now into a larger classroom, so they have more space. We've moved group fitness classes into our gym, and we're just lucky to have the space to do that.
When you think about I want to go back to May Merriman a little bit, and you said this one's already set up. Now, is there room for more, or are you kind of full for the May 1st in terms of enough prizes? Or?
Oh, sure. Well, we are always looking to, for community members and small businesses that would like to get involved. And we use a program called Give Smart, which is a great program, allows us to make it kind of mutually beneficial. We obviously use social media a lot. We'll take gifts. Really, we can take gifts through, mid to late April. The sooner the better, because I want to ensure that the community knows who is supporting the effort and who's supporting the event. But we'd love to have people on board. Absolutely.
Daniel?
Any volunteer opportunities?
Our volunteer program is kind of slowed down. The same thing, when people are not comfortable getting out, looking to go serve extra time is probably not a top priority, but we do always, Daniel, have volunteer opportunities. So I mentioned that spring soccer program has exploded, and I can tell you, I know for a fact, Alex needs some volunteer coaches. You do not have to be a professional to be a volunteer coach, and I think the age group, which he is most need of coaches for, is the pre-K, like to first grade level. So yes, we get a lot of parents, but sometimes parents have children of all different age groups they can't coach for soccer teams. So we always have opportunity, even if a high school student, college student, that's a great, small commitment, couple hours a week. We use volunteers with our front desk staff, some of them just checking in, making sure people are scanned in. And one thing that the Y has continued to do since for the last several years, and we were able to even up our game a little bit, is to assist Sarah Bush with our piecemeal program. And we always use volunteers. Some of these are members. They'll come with us. Some of our senior staff after, say they play a pickleball game or things like that. But those volunteer opportunities, sometimes it might not be in our facility, but it is helping programs that help support in our community. So
how is the relationship with the Center for Healthy Living doing? Are you out there a lot, or does Sarah Bush take care of that? How's that work?
Sarah Bush really manages that. Lindsay Williamson does a fantastic job of sort of communicating. Throughout the pandemic, we made sure we were on the same page with what the requirements were and what the hours were, and they have their own policies and procedures, so we just try to stay on top of what those are so we can inform our members. But most of our Center for Healthy Living members are in there on a regular basis, so they really know what's going on. But it's been a great partnership.
If you could go back to the beginning of COVID and realize some of the stuff you had to do and change, or were there anything you would change or do differently now that you've looked back on this a year and say, wow, we messed this up, or we did good on this? I mean, as you look back?
I think from my perspective, really it just involves the fundraising efforts. It was such a hard time for nonprofits. We were obviously still in desperate need of that generosity that we've experienced for so many years, but so many other people were also struggling, and so it was really hard from a fundraising standpoint. Do you go out and make those asks, or do you take a break and try to let people recover? And of course, no one had really done virtual fundraisers a year ago, and it was a great learning experience. And I think some of that, back to what DJ asked, some of that is going to stay forever. I think we will from now on always have some sort of virtual component to May Merriman, because we learned some great things. And Sarah mentioned we have some snowbirds, we have people who are out of town, and so You know, in a perfect world, I would have known exactly what to do about a virtual fundraiser May of last year, but we didn't. But we are just so thankful for the people that have stayed with us and that have continued to give. And, you know, each year you do a little bit better.
I'm with Angela.
No, you're good.
I'm with Angela. I had no idea. We did Run for the Bagel last year. Was the first virtual race as a race director, playing many races over. I had no idea what a virtual event would have looked like. And I'm with Angela. I think having that component, we got a really cool photo. A member, he actually resides in Shelbyville, is deployed, stuck overseas because of COVID. And so he was able to run with us virtually in the Jordan Desert. But some of those things just...
It seemed negative at the time, but I think moving forward, we'll find that we did learn some good lessons.
And it looks like Bagel Fest right now is on the agenda to happen.
We are still planning a Run for the Bagel event. Right now, our goal is in person. What that in person looks like will not probably be the same in person that we've had for the last 32 years, but our hope is to at least have some people in person running on the streets of Mattoon in July.
There you go. Okay, a couple minutes left. We're with Angela Hampton and Sarah Dowell from the Mattoon YMCA. Any last questions over there, DJ?
That was actually part of my question. But aside from that and all the soccer and the Merriman, is there anything else that you guys have in the works coming up?
So we had mentioned earlier at the beginning of this segment with the lifeguards shortage. I oversee our Lytle Park Triathlon. Can't host a Lytle Park Triathlon with our friends at Lytle Park being open. So we are being extra, like I said, trying to help Justin and his staff. We have the lifeguard courses. So we are hopeful, DJ, to have a triathlon in June. But if the pool does not open, yes, we can pivot and again to see what that looks like. But for our community, if you are from the Coles County area, you know how long-standing Lytle Park has been there. So making that, as far as other things that are around the corner, summer camp is always a highlight. I myself, DJ, attended summer camp at the Y many years ago. And so we know that's a huge need. Childcare and just something to do. You do not have to. I mean, you can drop in for a week. You want to just join. Some people need a little vacation from their children, maybe.
They can do that, They can register for a week at a time. I would say, though, our capacity will be decreased. So the sooner the better. That registration will open April 1st. And I wanted to add, too, that we have a limited number of scholarships we're going to offer for folks who might be interested in becoming a lifeguard specifically at our Neal Center YMCA. You know, part of the vision of Burnham Neal was to have a community pool for that community, and that's how that came to life. But we can't continue to have that pool without lifeguards. So if people are interested in applying, they can find the application at mattoonymca.org, and if they are hired and are committed to lifeguarding in Toledo, then we have some scholarships to pay for that lifeguard certification course.
You guys did so good, I can't even ask you the silly questions I normally ask at the end.
Surely you can get one.
I'll get one in. Did you have a nickname? Either of you have a nickname as a child growing up?
Mouse.
Mouse.
That was my nickname.
Sarah?
I did, but I can't say
Come
it
on. You know we're going to bother you.
You don't want any fines, do you?
Oh, that? Oh, okay, yes, right. Thank you for saving me, Angela. So, DJ, you're DJ the DJ. Did you have another nickname growing up?
No.
All right. I've always been J.O.
Actually, I played on a faculty volleyball team, and it was Digger Dowell, but I didn't actually play